well, Reddit user Hulk Kicker 30 asked a question, just what are some kind of common mistakes people make with using Westside for kind of like a raw lifter, just kind of incorporating Westside in general. Just a couple of things I see pretty often that kind of leads to just failure, and people kind of switch into something else because they didn't think Westside worked for whatever their situation was. Really just not getting enough volume with heavier lifts on the max effort days. A lot of times people just kind of work up to a 1 rep max on something and then just move on to something else, and that's definitely not going to elicit any kind of strength gain that you're looking for. You base it just even off of like Pre-Lipin's table. I think the optimal range they have in there for anything above 90% is at least 4 reps. So I mean, if you're just hitting 1 rep maxes at 100% of something that's like some kind of variation, not even a competition lift. So I mean, you might be even significantly underloading that too. It might not even be anywhere near 100% actually. You're just not doing enough work to see any kind of result. And kind of piggybacking off of that too. A lot of times people just kind of ad nauseum come in and just do just a different lift every time. Well, I'm working on my weaknesses, I'm just going to never ever do the competition lifts. Well, 99% of the issue people have with gaining strength is because their technique in the competition lifts sucks. So I mean, if you're not actively practicing competition lifts, that's just dumb, especially for a raw lifter. I think you can get away with a little bit more kind of abstract variations on things with really tight gear and like bench shirts and squat suits and stuff. Because I mean, really, a lot of that eccentric stress is taken away by the suit and everything. So I mean, you really just got to focus on just really control during the eccentric part of it, but then just letting the suit do a lot of the work during the concentric part of it. But anyway, so like just a really easy solution to both of those. Just getting some more work with actual competition lifts and getting more volume on your max effort days. Just really trying to pick smart choices for your max effort work. It should pretty much always be full range of motion if you're a raw lifter. I mean, you cannot justify doing reverse band, 4-board presses for your max effort work if you're not using a bench shirt at all. And then the other kind of another way to kind of add on and fix that second problem is once you get done finding your 1, 2, 3, 5, 10 rep max, whatever you're doing for your max effort day, with whatever the variation is, strip all the shit off that you use for your variation work and just go straight to a competition actual lift. So I mean, say you do a close grip bench with the mini bands on for a 3 rep max for your variation. You find something that's tough, stop for the day, strip the bands off, go back to your regular kind of competition bench press, and then maybe you do, 3 sets of 5 at 80% to get some extra volume work in. I'm just pulling stuff out of my ass. Just something like that, just to get some practice with the competition lifts, and then that accumulates more volume with your max effort work, your actual strength days over time, which is definitely going to be helpful. Another thing is just that people just don't realize how much variability you have with Westside and a conjugate style system in general. So like, people kind of stick with that 12 sets of 2 pendulum waving their speed work for years and years and years. Yeah, you might actually get a little stronger at first because you're not, it's something new. I mean, everything works for a short period of time. Nothing works forever. You have to be able to adapt, and your program has to be able to adapt to you. That's super important. And people that kind of stick to the very specific guidelines that are laid out without any actual kind of just fucking speculation on what else to do outside of that, it's just not going to work over time. I know that there's a couple of years ago, at least there was a guy at Westside whose max effort days for bench press would be, he'd find like a 3 or 5 rep max on close grip, do some accessory work and leave, do his speed bench stuff the second day of the week. Then he'd come back and do his max effort bench day the following week and just do dumbbell work for reps. And he did that for years, and that's all he ever did. And he actually trains at Westside using the Westside methods and principles and everything, and they let him train there. They didn't kick him out of the gym. He's like a 600-something pound raw bencher, just something fucking ridiculous. But there's still, even though that's the main outline of the program, that doesn't sound anything like typical Westside that people like associate it with. So it's just, but that works, and that's using all of the principles that Westside uses: max effort work, dynamic effort work on dynamic day, and then the repeated efforts with the dumbbell work. And it's just, I don't know. It's just people overcomplicate the shit out of it and just kind of get too caught up in, it has to 1 rep on max effort day, and then 12 sets of 2 on dynamic effort day, and then that's it. That's all you can ever do forever. But you definitely need to adapt it as the competition gets closer, and your speed work might go from 12 sets of 2. I mean, hell, I've done dynamic effort days that were 30 sets of 2 for time, and then a couple weeks later going into like 5 sets of 2 with 3 or 4 actual sets of really pushing the weight to like near max loads, just to kind of get some heavier stuff in my hands and really have to accelerate against whatever the accommodating resistance is, and then bump it back down to something that's a little bit more reasonable for actual speed development stuff for a couple of weeks. Whatever. The variability is absolutely endless, and people get stuck in like this one kind of concrete, like feet stuck in the mud kind of paradigm that doesn't make any sense. So I mean, there's a million other little teeny tiny things. Those are some of the biggest things, and people just need to like fucking read more. A lot of times the system doesn't work because people don't know enough about training to make it work for them, and that's huge. Just being smart enough to work it out is paradigm. Like that's a very good, not paradigm, paramount. I'm fucking retarded. So like, I don't know. So there's just a couple little problems. There's plenty of ways to fix all those things, but that's kind of stuff that I see kind of generally on a pretty regular basis, just with shit I see on the internet and everything. So, yep. Hopefully that helped answer some questions.